This is all the equipment you need to draft a block from your measurements. A sharp pair of scissors, a tape measure, a meter rule or a yardstick as we used to call it, sharp pencils, a rubber, and most importantly, a nice large set square. A normal ruler is handy. A ruler like this is quite popular, but not by any means essential. I buy my pattern paper on a big fat roll. It lasts a very long time if you are serious about drafting your own patterns. But you can buy sheets by the pack. It can be marked off in inches or every 2.5 centimeters, but I prefer plain paper. Brown paper will do. Some people use newspaper, although I wouldn't recommend it. Here are the measurements you need for the basic block. I'm purposely not using a standard size, as this is the whole point of drafting a block to fit. So first of all you need the measurement around the fullest part of the bust. This rises a little at the back. This measurement will also be used to determine some of the variables. The true waist, not too tight. The hip measurement is usually taken about 8 or 9 inches below the waist, but it must be where the widest measurement is, and take note of how far down from the waist it is. The back waist length, from the bone at the nape of the neck to the waist. Being a petite person myself, I've always appreciated how important this measurement is. Getting it right will solve so many fitting problems. Then chest width. Now this measurement will make or break your block, and you may need to experiment if you get it wrong first time. It is taken from about 4.5 to 5 inches from the base of the neckline, standing nice and straight. The back width. This measurement is taken 4 to 4.5 inches from the nape of the neck, so don't stand quite so erect, as you want to allow for a certain amount of stooping with comfort. Shoulder length. From neck to the edge of the bone on the shoulder. Around upper arm. Around the fullest part of the arm with a tape measure in the armpit. Print off my PDF sheet and fill in your own measurements. If you have doubts about any measurements, use the one closest to the standard size for your bust and hips. My PDF guide contains details of variables that are dependent on size. So cut a piece of paper 30 inches long and half hips, or bust, whichever is larger, wide, plus 3 inches or so. Rule a line along the length 1 inch or so from the left edge. This is centre back. Square off a line across the top of the page. This is the top line. Label the centre back line CB. For our centre front line, you want to measure at least half bust plus 2 to 3 inches, or half hips plus 1.5 inches, whichever is the larger. But you can draft this line further away if you like. The important thing is that you want to avoid the back and front bodice overlapping. So label this line CF for centre front. So here I show an initial rectangle of half hips plus 3 inches wide, and at least as long as back waist length plus 10 inches, which will be a bit longer than the final block. This gives us a good bit of room. Mark down 1 inch from the top line. This increases to 1.5 inches for sizes over bust 38 inches. Check for variables in my PDF guide. Draw this about 1/3 of the way across. call this O. Using your own back waist measurement, mark down from O for the waistline and square across to the CF line. This is the provisional waist position. Label WP. Then measure 8 1/4 inches from O for the bust line, which is also the bottom of the armhole. This figure varies depending on bust by 1/4 inch for every 2 inches outside of the 34 to 36 inch bust range. So bust 36 inch would be 8 1/2 inches down. A 38 inch bust line would be 8 3/4 inches down from O. Again, check the PDF guide for variables. Continue this line across to CF. Then mark half this measurement down for the back line and rule less than halfway across. Label BL for the bust line and label the back line. The shoulder line is 1 1/2 inches below O. This is the same for all sizes. Square across and label the shoulder line SL.